Okay, guys, after that long waiting loading time, sorry about that, we might finally have ourselves into a game. Welcome to Stall Out of
Radiant
Europe.
team
We've got
ban.
Stark versus the newly named OG, uh, previously known as Monkey Business, which I'm sure all of you watching are aware of. I am Llama Down Under, gonna be joined by PQMZ. How you doing?
10 seconds remaining.
I don't have my mic open in TeamSpeak, so he heard none of that. Oh yeah,
5 seconds
production
remaining.
value. How are you doing, PQ?
Hello, I'm good.
That was a
Red
risky load.
team
I did
ban.
not think we were getting it.
Yeah, it took a while, but now we're here. We get to cast some good teams. Good.
So, yeah, the Doom nerfs are live, and he is still first round banned.
The nerfs weren't that
10
big, were
seconds
they?
remaining.
It was just small tweaks.
Some more tweaks, I would say
5
definitely,
seconds remaining.
via, definitely solid nerfs. As you pointed out,
Reserve
he's still a
time.
pain in the earth. Scorched Earth, still a fantastic spell, and people don't want to play against him, apparently. I'm also a bit surprised. I think both teams probably don't want to play against him, but Monkey Business have played him a
Radiant
bunch
team
on
ban.
Moon and had like an 85% win rate on him, so.
Yeah, and Stark also not wanting to play against the IO from OG. So,
Yep. Lots of. I think these teams probably, like most of the teams in the scene,
10
know each other
seconds
pretty well, but
remaining.
just because they have some members who used to play together for a long time, I imagine that you know each other
Dire
and your
team
draft
pick.
styles pretty well. But it's gonna be the Tusk ban out. Fun or maybe not so fun facts on Stark is this patch they only have an 11% win rate.
how
So,
many games is that over?
oh, they've only. I mean, I think it's more than 20, but they're not doing so
Radiant
great
team
on this
pick.
patch.
I actually thought it would be an alright patch for them because they play pretty aggressive Dota, so when you get a snowball rolling, you generally win in this patch.
But you have to get,
Maybe
as you
they just
said.
make bad decisions. Because I've
Yep.
seen their laning stages go well
Dire
constantly. Like
team
whenever I
pick.
see them play, they do decently, and then maybe they just make one or two mistakes.
Okay, yeah. But apparently, not a favorable patch for them. I don't know either. Last time I saw them, they were doing pretty well, and then it feels like they got rebranded as, or they got picked up by Stark and had a bit of a rough time. Either way, we got picks flying out. OG pick up the Shadow Fiend Dazzle. Both heroes they're super
10
comfortable with.
seconds remaining.
And something I really like about OG is their flexibility, how they sometimes put No
5
Tail in mid,
seconds
sometimes put
remaining.
Miracle in mid.
Yeah, I think they're just both comfortable doing
Reserve time.
both roles. Notel's normally on like the two position hero though, and Miracle's generally the one. I expect him to be the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, he definitely has many more Shadow Fiend games than No Tail seems to, with a nice whopping 72% win rate. So, what do
Considering
you?
how often that hero is picked, that's pretty high.
Yeah, he has 11 games on it this patch, which is a crap ton because it's normally banned out as well. Like, just given its pick ban rate, really nice. And they go with the Darkseer on
Dire
Stark.
team ban.
Pretty strong. He got a little bit of a nerf loss patch, but still a really powerful offlaner. How do you feel about this Gyrocopter first round pick though? I'm not loving it.
I feel like it's a comfort hero for them if they
10
pick it that
seconds
early,
remaining.
not wanting it to get banned out in the second stage, or maybe they feel like it's
5
not giving too
seconds
much away by
remaining.
picking it, because as you say, it's not the best first pick for sure. Giving them Radiant
Reserve
Shadow
time.
Fiend, not having like a mid hero to deal with it, feels kind of awkward.
Yeah. I mean, there's potential, although they already picked up the Darkseer. They can always go with something like the Lina, which fares pretty well against the Shadow Fiend. It's hard, though, to get something that'll catch up to him, and with their options for something like a Clockwork at pretty much nil,
Radiant
it is a
team
bit
ban.
concerning.
Yeah, they're gonna need some initiation, as you say. With no clockwork in the pool, they're gonna rely on probably a support or the mid to be able to start these fights, because Darkseid's not gonna be able to do it, even if he has a blink. He's not
10
the ideal
seconds
initiator.
remaining.
Yeah. So, the Jug ban out as well, not wanting to deal with that
Dire
early push,
team
and the
ban.
Wyvern. Funny story, kind of unfortunate. I'm pretty sure I looked up Stark. They've played a lot of Wyvern, but they have a 0% win rate. But I can
Radiant
understand banning it
team
out
ban.
anyway. You're like, this hero can cause a lot of issues. Why not get ourselves an easier win if possible?
Well, if they have an 11% win rate, they probably don't win with too many heroes, but it doesn't mean they can't play them.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
And also the Meepo ban out for no tail.
Yeah, I was
Respect.
wondering about this one. I had a really hard time pulling up the stats on bans because it's obviously much easier to get picks. So I wasn't super sure how many times it's banned out against them, but we've discussed this before. I just feel like you have such an advantage when you have a player on your team who picks a hero that everyone's like, yeah, no, we have to ban this. So,
Stark have alright heroes at the moment to deal with him. They could definitely couple like a few disable heroes, like you say, Lena, Earthshaker maybe, and they would both fit well in their lineup. So I think they just
Radiant
don't want to have
team
to
pick.
deal with it because Dazzle Meepo can do a lot, and Shadow Fiend's also just hard to deal with.
yeah.
Have so many threats on the map.
And OG doing a really good job of banning out anything that could at all be a pain in the ass to the Shadow Fiend, right? Spirit Breaker, one of the heroes that can actually bring some sort of initiation onto him mid lane from anywhere. The Wyvern, who would start mid, maybe level 1, help out
10
whoever's the real
seconds
mid
remaining.
in getting those early lost hits and just giving Shadow Fiend a rough time.
5
This is
seconds remaining.
looking like a really nice chill Shadow Fiend game.
Yeah, so far it's
Reserve
not too
time.
much to pressure him, and having the Dazzle, who's probably going to be stacking and hanging around mid, just gives you like a lot of confidence. You just feel like the game's going to go well when you know you're not going to get camped by 2 or 3 heroes. But that could definitely change if they pick up like a Bounty Hunter or something that sits mid, maybe a Bane. I don't know. There's options.
Yeah, Bane's also really popular this patch. Seemingly, I mean, he was getting picked up a little bit last patch, and it feels like he's just gotten really popular this patch's lockdown that goes through BKB and so on. And I just realized that's like a
Dire
raccoon
team pick.
from No Tail's picture.
I like it. It's cool.
Raccoons have tails. It's a problem. Either way, getting themselves up the Earthshaker. Do you think this is a support or an offlane Earthshaker?
I think it's going to be off lane. Support would just be. It wouldn't mean they have to pick quite a strong safe laner that can deal with the Darkseer on his own, which there's definitely heroes that can do
10
that.
seconds remaining.
I just feel like the Dazzle's going to be around mid naturally, or
5
maybe the
seconds
Shaker's
remaining.
around mid instead if it is a support, but I don't think it's as good. So I'd expect it to be off lane.
Reserve
It could
time.
be either though. At the end of the day, it's just what they prefer or how they feel favors them.
Also, a funny thing about OG, I don't think they're doing it here, but they've actually picked Earthshaker before for Miracle, I think. No, it wasn't. Maybe it was No Tail. They've picked like this weird core carry Earthshaker before in at least one of their games, because I got this really weird stat where it's like an Earthshaker with 1,000,000 kills in farm, and I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay, well that's fun. But don't know how serious that game was. But either way, Jakiro from Stock, and this is something that's also been growing in popularity, especially, I don't know if you've seen these games, but the Jakiro Brewmaster combo
5
has been
seconds
getting
remaining.
really popular.
That's mostly from OG though, isn't it?
No,
Running it?
Alliance also ran it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I think out of the teams which have had successful Brewmaster performances, which are pretty small, because we've been casting a lot of Brewmasters that just can't seem to seal the deal in the games, the ones paired with Jakiro seem to be doing much better.
Jakiro just gives you the ability to take towers as well. And he's not a high farm priority hero, so he can just get his levels and he can still be impactful. You have a core like Gyro and Darkseer, you don't take towers too effectively early, and Jakiro just bolsters your ability to get more after you win a fight.
Yeah. And a Rubik pickup always, and a couple nice things to steal here, although you're a bit light on the, I mean, you're gonna get Ion Shell and Surge pretty reliably. I guess Gyrocopter has good stuff. I don't know how I feel about the Rubik having the vacuum though, just because it,
Radiant
although by the
team
time the Rubik 6 should be high enough level that you can steal a couple good things from the Darkseer.
I think it's just a good hero for them here. It gives them a greedier support that can give them another form of
10
initiation.
seconds remaining.
Because Earthshaker on his own, it's similar to Darkseer. You don't necessarily want to be the one to go in
5
first. You want to
seconds
be there to
remaining.
counter initiate, or just use your Fisher from long range and let someone else go in, like the Rubik.
So.
Dire
And then
team
the Alk, who has seen a steady drop off in pick and ban, and the A ban out from OG. So this is kind of interesting. I mean, they don't have room for it clearly. And also, folks who are watching, tell me if my mic volume changed too much. I'm playing with a new setup, so. But The AA ban out, normally folks want that. I guess OG deciding they don't have space for it. Yeah, and then the Huskar ban out. Maybe they were planning on running the Dazzle Huskar, trying to sneak that one in. So.
Yeah, that's smart from Boogie, making sure that's not an option. Maybe OG just putting it out there,
10
like
seconds
forcing them to
remaining.
ban the Huskar so they get whichever carry they actually wanted, but it could go
5
either way.
seconds remaining.
Mind games.
Always fun to
The
see this.
Huskar could have been really good.
Reserve time.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. It would have been fantastic. Necrophos filling a similar role from the standpoint of doesn't want the AA around. And certainly is one of the few who's pretty damn good at shutting down an Alk's farm, because you can take him off the map for a while, which gets rid of that lovely Grievel's Greed. So.
Yeah, if you can manage to take him out late game as well with no buyback, which he generally has because he's money, it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Not normally the tankiest
10
of heroes.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, because of
Might
Grievel's
get an
Greed.
AC or an Octarine.
Yeah, because of Grievel's Greed, Alchemist has awful stat game. So, expecting you to earn all of those stats through money. And now, Stark,
Reserve
last
time.
pickup here, you got any favors? Looking for a strong support? Although it could be an Alch support. We've seen this a few times where folks make it look like mid-Alch and then it's surprise, support Alchemist.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but they did like a Darkseer Elk duel off, and they spammed the wave out, made sure they couldn't contest the Darkseer's farm / levels at all, so that's an option. But I think it would be alright as a mid hero here. It's just what they're comfortable with.
Mhm.
Because of that, I can't really say where they want to go. They have like a lack of
10
an initiating
seconds
hero, but if
remaining.
they just team fight and they can take towers afterwards with Kiro, they don't
5
necessarily need it
seconds
right now.
remaining.
Not too much split push from OG.
And I say as I lose Dota, the Disruptor, this is... I don't know if it's as good here. I feel like Rubik's now super happy. You know? I mean, you can definitely silence. That'll hamper a lot of Necrophos' damage. And if you can get off that Static Storm as the Earthshaker jumps in, maybe you can stop something. But generally, you're going to get off that Echo Slam with its instant cost point before Disruptor has hope of that.
I think the big reason they picked it is to combo with the Darkseer, and you can also use it as a way of defending or taking favorable fights. If they group up as 5 on OG, which they're probably going to look to do fairly early once the Shadow Fiend finishes mech, or maybe even the Necro looks to go for it this game. But if they group up, they take a tower, they back off, you have vision, you glimpse one of them back, you can get a free pick off.
Yeah.
And that's like a way of getting something out of tower defenses if you can't manage to get the tower. Another option that they have.
100%. We've already got early ward rotations from both teams. Moon didn't actually manage to get his down, and OK Sia making sure to have a good eye on where potential ward placement is. Let's get around to introducing the teams. On Stark, we've got Boogie on Gyrocopter, Nemphy on Alchemist, Valix on that Disruptor. Doxy is going to be played up by Trixie, which leaves us, OK Sia, on the Jakiro.
Over on OG, we've got Fly on the Dazzle, who TP'd down bottom, placed this early ward, which did end up scouting the ward the Darkseer placed. Crit on the Rubik, Miracle on his Shadow Fiend, Moon on the offlane Earthshaker, and
30
Notel on the
seconds
carry
to
Necro.
battle.
Okay, so I have to be honest, I've been casting a lot of America's Dota. I haven't had as many opportunities as I'd like to see these folks, but I know Miracle Shadow Fiend is very good. Do you think he's just going to dominate this mid lane, and what does Stark need to do to shut him down?
I definitely think he has the edge because Elk can't really contest his last hits as soon as he gets level 3. He just gets enough souls from Razors, and Elk's going to have a hard time. But to shut him down, they
The
have
battle
the
begins.
Disruptor which can come gank, I guess, if the Elk opts to go for stun. But I think it's just going to be maybe look to contest the stacks with Darkseer, so you don't let him get too far ahead of you.
Yeah.
I think that's like their safest way of contesting his farm.
I'm like
Really
super
risky to do
impressed
anything else.
they got this ward down. Like,
I think-
Crit came around and placed that, and I really like it.
I think they just read that the Elk and the rest of the heroes were going bottom runes, so
Yeah.
they knew they had the ability to take top, and also getting the ward out, as you say, is really nice from Crit.
And we've got our standard 2-2v2 mid that we always see. Miracle actually taking quite a bit of harass, but of course he has a salve anticipating these types of trouble. As you said, I'm not sure I have a lot of faith in Disruptor as a ganking hero for this mid Shadow Fiend, but it's certainly something where if Trixie is paying attention, he might be able to also snipe some stacks in the jungle that are being made up for Miracle.
This is a pretty solid SF game. There's not too much to put pressure on you. Have to worry about the Darks here, I think, because he's going to get quite a lot of levels bottom. OG can't really zone him out right now. He's already got level 2 off the first wave. Not getting too many last hits, unfortunately, but that will change when he gets higher levels.
Yeah, at the same time, Necrophos getting much more farm, I think, than he would elsewhere, so you're probably okay with the trade, especially since even if your Darkseer gets huge, you're also going to have this huge Miracle Shadow Fiend. Probably going to just go the Sanj and Yasha build. I imagine No-Tail is going to be the one forced into the mech this game.
I don't particularly like mech on Necro, because he's quite a mana-intensive hero in the first place, and I feel like
Do you
I
think
want
it's
to beef
Atos?
up on the hero. Yeah, like Atos, Octarine, Bloodstone. Those items I think are better on the hero.
Yeah.
And Shadow Fiend with mech is pretty good in general. It's not like it's bad.
Yeah, it's a pretty fine pickup. I just wonder whether he'll go the like fast farming build, the Helm of the Dominator, Sanj and Yasha, or the mech. And as you pointed out, either of them can get the mech up early. Shadow Fiend might even be able to get it up earlier, freeing up No-Tail to tank up in a bit more of a traditional sense. But we have Moon taking a lot of damage, being glimpsed backwards. Looks like Moon might be our first blood. Full rocket barrage to the face, and that is a very dead Bearman?
They're
Cowman?
going mid with a
Cowman.
lift.
Yeah, I don't know if they have the damage output. One more raise, can they hit it? A couple more auto attacks would do it too. But there are TPs in and bottling up and now crit. He needs to get out of there, but he's got a haster and he's going to be A-okay. So, failed gank mid, unfortunately.
If he was level 2, that was pretty easy kill, but unfortunately he's been moving around the map a lot, not being able to get too much XP. Miracle's going to be able to finish off his bottle here, and then you shouldn't have to worry too much about the acid spray harass.
Yeah, he's
Getting
playing,
really low to it.
He's playing really riskily here, and I think just understanding, as you pointed out earlier, there isn't going to be a Spirit Breaker charging in. There's no Clockwork or anything. He can play super low and feel safe, and worst case scenario, Fly will pick up a TP and shallow grave him, although looking towards Boots right now. So,
Yeah, not the ideal start for him, because he's had to ferry 2 selves out, but that's not a problem right now.
yeah. On these lineups, it does feel like the late game is a
They're
bit...
actually going to get a kill on Jakir
Yeah.
here. Crit can find the body blocks.
Oh, can he wander away from them though? No, it looks like they should easily just be able to... Oh, they
Oh, geez,
actually
the raise.
missed the raise! And now they're gonna have to do it with the auto attacks, but all the creeps get it. Jakiro trying to actually just one-to-one with Crit, trying to draw aggro. Oh, he goes down. Crit playing very patiently there. So, I think that was a super hard deny for Jakiro there. Like, you have to hope... If you wait too long and man fight Crit, he's gonna get spells off of cooldown, which will just zap you down.
I don't think he was level 2 there though, so he only had the auto attacks to worry about from Jakiro.
And Miracle getting a bounty rune, and Alk, of course, getting that regen. Oh, Moon goes down again up top lane. I have to imagine you're pretty irritated that you didn't get the regen rune as well.
They might
Oh,
actually find Crit
yeah,
as well, he
Crit-
gets caught by the field.
He's gonna use the lift. Will it give him? It does give him just enough, and the immediate TP back from Moon, who's only level 2. He's having a really rough time in this top lane. Oh, and a raise to finish off Nemphy in mid. I don't know how much you caught of that. I think Nemphy maybe just coming up to the creep wave to last hit, and I saw the final raise.
I was watching top at the time, didn't get to see it.
Yeah. We can see on the net worth chart, Nemphy's still topping it, as you expect, an Alchemist too, and then Gyrocopter up next. And yeah, Fly can't even really contest this pull away from Trixie, right? Trixie just comes in, has a grand old time. Unlike Moon, let's see if they can pincer him, but yeah, just gonna surge away.
The only time he has to worry is when the Necro gets 6, and even then he has to be fairly low for it to be a kill.
Yeah.
Play as ballsy as he likes.
So, Nemphy has put up some points into that unstable concoction, so potentially some kills, but they have completely whiffed on finding this ward. I think they were pretty cognizant that there's a ward up there, but both this sentry and this sentry whiffing it.
Yeah, it's a bit of an unusual ward. You generally expect them to be placed on these lines, so the sentry placement's pretty common from Stark, but OG's just going one more. I really like this ward placement. If you can get it down without it being seen, it's slightly unorthodox, and it
Yeah.
gives you all the vision you need.
Really helpful for a Shadow Fiend who, of course, wants to be able to throw out those razes. And yeah, you don't have to worry about the acid spray if you just raise down the creeps and then go put some right clicks into Nymphy. But going for the top rune, don't think he's going to get contested. Let's talk timings for both of these lineups, because Shadow Fiend, Gyro, they feel like carries of equal carriness. I would say Gyro's a little bit harder. Oh, and they're actually dewarding Stark's wards in mid. But I would say that the Gyro just has a bit more carry potential just because of flat cannon. But other than that, feeling like these lineups pretty even, and it's all going to come down to whether Trixie gets the big vacuum wall combo, whether Moon can get an Echo Slam of amazingness.
I think the biggest timing OG have is when Shadow Fiend gets mech, if he decides to go for it, and maybe Stark don't have.
Oh,
like,
Trixie
level 6
doesn't
on
know
him.
that they were coming around the corner. A lift into a raise, and that's a very dead Mr. Potato Head. But no tail on the bottom lane. He is in trouble. The danger zone, as I like to say. He's gonna have a heal up. He's looking for some more time to buy so that he can heal, but he might just go down to the tower here. There's the heal out. Fly isn't in range for that shallow grave. And
Might
that
have
is
got
going to
the
be
grave
rough.
off if he went for it first as opposed to the heal.
Yeah. Now
Actually
Crit
finding
doing,
the L.
yeah, doing another lift, but Miracle has no interest, and Crit is actually taking a lot of damage, but gonna have a Shadow Fiend ready to raise, protecting him. So death's all over the place, and
I really like that rotation from Miracle, pushing the wave in, knowing that they just dewarded the ward from Stark, so they don't have any vision. Might think Stark should know about it, but this at the time it's not the most obvious thing. So,
yeah.
unfortunately, not able to get the stack, which I think was triple that Trixie ended up taking out, but
Yeah.
they got the kill on him, so it kind of equalizes at the end.
And I think even if they were hunting the Alchemist, they're still pretty happy to get Trixie, just because it'll delay his mech, it'll delay his blink. So probably going a mech Arcanes first, and then gonna work on that blink, which I think is one of the few things this Shadow Fiend has to worry about. But Trixie having a much easier time in lane than Moon. I think you expect this out of these combos, but Moon's still getting decent levels for an off-lane Earthshaker. And he's got boots.
Yeah, Stark's lane is really dangerous. Just Disruptor Gyrocopter can deal with most offlaners, so done really well considering. The two deaths are a bit unfortunate, but he's getting his CS with Fisher spam, and he's getting his levels most importantly.
Yeah, two interesting things. It does look like No Tail is going
Radiant
for
structures
that Rod of Atos. Really cheap way. I think the cheapest way to get that much int. Very cheap for 25 int. Also, we've got Alk rocking a Vitality booster. Could just be for the early health boost, but could also be that he's doing some weird hot first build. I don't know.
I think I can't remember who it was, but there was maybe it was Black who did this. Maybe he didn't go for the Vit booster, but I know he goes for like the casual Sage Mask just for the regen because it works so well with Chemical Rage. Really efficient. Then the Vit booster just tanks you up a bit to deal with like a Fissure into double raise or a Lift into double raise. So then you can go for your Radiance and feel a bit safer.
Yeah.
He obviously doesn't want to go for the Treads instead, so he can get the bots, which is why he goes for the Vit booster.
Certainly, as you pointed out, it is really scary when you've got this Shadow Fiend who hits like a truck, has raises. You don't want to be caught out alone against him. And I really like what both teams are doing. They've freed up some lanes for their supports to try and get level 6 on both of them, having up those really powerful ults. So, we'll see what this next team fight brings. This Alk is level 8, while Shadow Fiend is level 11. I did not realize that that had happened. This is a pretty big experience deficit for Stark.
I think it's mostly just the fact that Stark ended up giving their stacks to Trixie so he could get back on par. And the Elk, obviously not being able to take them means Miracle's going to get a huge advantage. And they're actually smoking up top. They should be able to get the Gyro here.
Yeah, they're going in. They're stalking. They managed to land the Fissure, but it's on OKC, and they're not able to connect after that. So, maybe Moon...
I like that they didn't go for that. They want the higher priority target.
Maybe Moon
Have
can
another
act like
Fissure and fight.
he's not there. So, yeah. I don't know if they'll be able to catch Boogie here, though. They're gonna probably wrap around. There's gonna be another Fissure. There should be a Telekinesis. There's gonna be some raises. The Ice Moth catches one, but one more auto attack will do it, and they get it with the raise, and now they're all backing out. Moon actually going around on the other side, seeing what else he can catch off, but there's gonna be no latch. And as you said, pretty happy with the high priority target they just picked up there.
And this is like really clean movement from OG. They just pick up the mech on Shadow Fiend. They rotate the Dazzle top as well after the smoke gets the kill. So they're going to get the tower here. And Stark aren't in a position to trade because No-Tail's casually pushing in bottom. No one's mid. They're just taking stacks in the woods. So this is perfect start for OG.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Now, do you think Stark has the late game if this potentially goes later, or are they in a pot of trouble being already about 3,000 experience behind?
I think the Necrophus is the late game factor for OG. If you manage to get caught out, which they definitely can, when you have Earthshaker and Rubik, you have decent catch. They can get a big kill late game, you can always win when you're 5v4. So it's a bit scary for Stark to go late game, but they definitely have the better wombo combo.
Yeah.
If OG group up and mess up their positioning, Stark can capitalize on it, but I don't think OG are going to let that happen.
Yeah.
At least at this stage of the game. They're pretty confident right now.
Once they realize, or when Doxia gets a blink, and once they realize it on the lineup of OG, I imagine they'll stay pretty spread. Right now they're together, but there's no way for this Doxia to initiate on them. Yeah, Vacuum into Static Storm could be amazing, with the cooldown to boot as well, but I don't know what the odds are of getting it off before a blink on the Doxia, and maybe Jakiro even needs a Yule's up first too.
And even if they have, like, the levels on their supports right now, there's a mech on the Shadow Fiend. He's almost finishing a Sanj as well. It's really hard for them to fight. They're doing the right thing now, just trying to push in lanes, force them away, get a bit of control of the woods with this vision. I like that they're trying to block out the camps just to play like more efficient. But right now, OG will probably look for the tier 1 bottom as well after they push this out. There's been DD on Miracle.
Of course there is. Of course there is. He's almost got... He finished the mech. He's got his Sanj up. We'll be quickly approaching that Sanj and Yasha. And actually, they catch out OKZia. Unless he turns around and gets a really nice Ice Path. I don't even know. Oh, they return Ice Path and OKZia dying to his own abilities. That's always rough. And now if Valix isn't careful, he does manage to get out the kinetic field, not holding him for long enough. But they're searching on this lineup of OG. And if Trixie, yeah, the immediate TP out, I like that play. But instead, they'll just transition their DD into an early Roshan. Super easy to do with presence of the Dark Lord. Oh.
I don't think they could actually get Roche if it wasn't for DD, so it's really unfortunate for Stark. However, this is something they could look to contest. Unfortunately, they have no vision around here, and they only have level 1 vacuum. But this is like the one fight I feel like they could take early. But they're not onto it, so OG is just going to get this for free.
Yeah, Gyrocopter preferring to farm up. He's doing well. He's not doing poorly by any means, but I think a big problem... Oh, Miracle's actually taking a huge amount of damage. Static Storm dropped on him as well. They've got the telekinesis on Valix. They get him to the high ground, but Miracle, even with the mech, he's gonna go down to Roshan, it looks like. They managed to pop the Roshan, and Miracle just gets it, but the immediately expended Aegis is not what OG wanted. An Ice Path up to top lane onto the Valix, and he also stole a spell there. Managed to get the kinetic field, but Fly, he's now in a lot of trouble, taking huge amounts of damage. Requiem of Souls comes out, but the Ice Path slowing down Miracle, and it looks like Fly's gonna be lost in the exchange. They're trying to go for this stun, another high ground, but it doesn't end up working out. And now Fly, is he really gonna get away here? Reaper Scythe onto Trixie isn't what kills him, but he gets out, and Fly, he gets another heal off. One more auto attack, the Fissure saving his life. Insane plays from Moon and Nemphy, probably gonna go down here despite the chemical rage. There's the heal, there's the raise to finish him off. I can't believe Fly didn't die there. He was on 1 health for most of that fight involving the shallow grave, but just the saves coming out from his teammates. I actually thought Crit had doomed him to die when he went for the cliff high ground, getting somebody stuck on the cliff instead of using the telekinesis for the secondary stun, but Fly just had way too much regen.
Yeah, he's really high level as well, so having the low cooldown on the Shadow Wave is really hard to deal with this early in the game. The Stark just, outside their Jara, they don't have the most damage right now, and I think he was zoned out most of the fight, so he couldn't get in.
Yeah.
Considering they got the Aegis, I thought that was like ideal for Stark, but then they forced their hand too much, and they went into OG when they had 5 heroes, so
Yeah.
I think just getting a bit too greedy.
Definitely felt like if they had Aegis and back, it would have been a very solid fight for them, and OG would have been upset. But now Nemphy, he takes the fissure. They decide not to go in. Miracle actually pretty undecided, might be taking an unstable concoction to the face. Do they have enough damage though? And Miracle, he's just pounding into them. One more auto attack will do it. Now he's gonna work on Trixie. Ice Path suddenly slows him down, but then now finally with the creeps going, the rocket barrage is gonna do it. There's a static field. Miracle needs to get out of this one. Doesn't have mech, does have bottle charges though on the side, and No-Tailed also zoning. This glimpse back, I don't think Miracle even bloody cares. 2 heals coming out, and he's suddenly back up close to 1,000 health. This Shadow Fiend, I think, is out of control. He is almost double the Alchemist net worth, and that is an Alchemist with maxed, oh, not quite maxed, because he maxed the Acid Spray, but 3 points in Greevil's Greed.
Miracle's been playing really well this game, and it was a first round 2-pick Shadow Fiend, and
Yeah.
Stark opted to not deal with it, knowing how well they play with this. So, right now, they just have to play like the trade game. If they try and fight, they're going to lose. They should know this. I hope they don't defend towers like outside their base. They're just gonna have to hold the high ground, even without Aegis. OG are extremely confident right now, and they have another DD on Miracle, so they're gonna probably try and save this one for the next tower. Maybe force some damage on high ground with it.
And they've got enough time, it feels like, to take these outer tier 2s and then go for the next Roshan. If they just kind of slowly push up top lane, Roshan might be spawned by the next time. You could wait out Roshan, just take Stark's jungle, really shut them down, make sure they can't get back in this game. And as you pointed out, I don't see fantastic high ground defense. Like, yeah, you've got Acid Spray and cooldown, like, you're not killing creeps.
It's all cooldown based, so it's awkward for them. Takes too much time for them to kill the creep waves, but it's how they have to play right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. So,
I'd expect OG to get a gem on Fly as soon as he has some money.
if you're this Gyrocopter, are you now rushing BKB instead of something like the Sanjin Yasha?
He has to. Miracle just does too much damage in the fights. Even his right clicks are really scary at this point, but if you can not get CC'd, you can at least get away a bit from those right clicks, or stay in the fight a bit longer.
And I don't want to say it, but it does feel like it's a bit late for the Radiance on the Alk from the standpoint of he's not... We're not at a point where it's super useful.
He committed to this build, and a lot of players don't like to change.
Oh, he actually misses the Blink Initiation on Valix, but that is going to be a very dead red dude riding a pony. Oh gosh, that's so sad.
Yeah, I really like when teams do that actually. Like, we saw it the other day where they waited on a track kill, like up here, and then waiting on the Necrophus to get there. I just like that, it's more efficient. They know he wasn't getting away.
Yeah. It's just so sad when you see it. Like, I'm a support disruptor. I want to get some mad levels because I'm level 7. Oh, what's that? I'm dead for 60 seconds. And yeah, here comes the high ground push. Miracle has a DD. He's going to walk out of the cooldown. No sort of lockdown for that. And they have it. It just feels like they're not stacking these. Wasting the cooldown there. Yeah, it's not the longest of cooldowns, but they're not going to have it for this entire push. And how do you stop Miracle on your high ground? They've got some TP rotations coming back. There's going to be the dual breath, but Miracle does not give a damn. Wants to use this DD as much as he can. He takes a bit of a stun, but now more and more sieging. And he's got folks buffing him up with the medallion. He doesn't even care that much about this acid spray. Nemphy wants to come in and do something, but this Radiance burn is really sad at this point.
Yeah, OG are playing this really well with their support positioning as well. Like, you just can't go on the Shadow Fiend because you know there's a grave to save him. Moon isn't quite there yet, so the counter initiation isn't immediate, but they can't kill him, so Moon has time to come over.
Yeah, they've
constantly pushing mid lane as well.
They've got the tower, they've got the unstable concoction out on Miracle, but again, just feeling like it tickles them. And with the amount of sustain this team outputs with the Dazzle and a Necrophos, and the mech, which they still haven't used, Miracle decides to back a bit, might just farm a creep wave, you know, while farm some jungle. Actually, they are rotating No-Tail down, so I guess this is the end of the siege. I'm a bit surprised because it felt like they got the tower down. They could really easily just slow siege either Rax.
I think the Rax is a tiny bit riskier, but OG are at the point where they're so far ahead, if they just do what they're doing, they're actually going to find the gyro here.
Yeah, they've caught him, and Echo Slam expended as well. Unfortunately, No-Tail isn't here, and Boogie is still alive, but he goes down very quickly to the auto-attack of the Shadow Fiend, and now let's see if Stock can mount any sort of defense, and no. Are you saying that the high ground's just a bit more dangerous because of the static field Darkseer vacuum combos that are easier to land when folks are up on your hill?
I think they could go for it, but at the moment, they're so far ahead. If they just chill a tiny bit, they had a lot of gold on their heroes. Like, Crypt picked up a 4-staff. I think Moon's working on one as well. No-Tail didn't have his BKB at the time, so maybe it was just an item timing that they wanted to wait for. And now they're looking to go back to it, because they definitely can. But I like the fact that they're not rushing it. They know they have control of the game right now.
Yeah. Really well-played game coming out of OG. And their heroes are really rich. Fly is rocking 1,500 gold right now. I mean, that shouldn't be. He's a support Dazzle. I'm expecting him to be poor. Rubik has a full 4-staff and an urn.
And level 3 vacuum to steal as well.
Yeah.
He actually had that from the high ground push, so I expected him to spend his gold on a blink. But this is just like the next level of Dota, where you realize you're in a position where you don't need the blink. You can end the game now. If they can kill your Shadow Fiend, your blink doesn't help.
Yep.
Whereas if you can force him away from like all their crap, then it's much better. So I like the picker.
Oh, they already burned Glimpse, hoping to catch out Crit, and now they're going in deep, using that Rod of Ages. No-Tail has a BKB, he doesn't care about your Static Storm. Now Trixie's gonna be the next one to come in. He tries to Vacuum Miracle through the wall, but there is not enough damage, and they're just gonna work on the towers. No-Tail's BKB is down, so maybe there's something they can do, but this wall placement, not ideal for this high ground siege, and these flat cannon shots just tickling the lineup of OG. Miracle's just pounding away onto that melee Rax, and I think it's going down. An Ice Paw to delay things, but Crit with the return vacuum, and there's gonna be a Requiem of Souls. Crit is getting low, but Miracle, he has his BKB up, and he gives no cares about what you're doing. Just gonna walk over to Trixie, finishes him off with a raise. They still actually haven't gotten the racks. No-Tail instead doing some work on the Shadow Fiend illusion. They should just work on pounding this down, but they're gonna wait the next creep wave, and I know they killed off some folks there, but a little bit surprised they just didn't finish off this melee racks while they had the time in the base. But here it goes. They have everything they need. There are no buybacks on the lineup of stock, and they have gotten themselves an easy lane of racks. Range gonna fall very quickly now. They've got a good ward up from stock. They can see all of this, but there's no response with their big ults being down.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if OG look to finish up mid as well now. However, they do have some golds. They might do a similar thing where they let their items come out and they chicken, or go back to base and pick them up.
Yeah. It's a really long spawn on Roshan, almost max length, folks, so I don't think they'll... Well, they can wait for that, but it'll maybe give stock some breathing room. Ability to get some items on their Gyrocopter. But even with that, it just feels like the lineup of OG, they're super tanky on their front line, as this Shadow Fiend rocking 1700, probably even 1800 if you change those boots to strength. And No-Tail...
I actually find out the Dazzle mid. He
Oh.
got caught by this ward in a glimpse.
So a big, nice kill for them.
That's a decent amount of money. However, not going to matter if OG managed to get this rush. I definitely think that's where Stark have to know the exact timing that it's up, and smoke with lanes pushed out and take an immaculate team fight for this game to turn around.
Yeah, we were at about a 20,000 net worth lead, and probably 13,000 experience when this graph calms down. We are really far ahead on OG, and this is something you don't want to see. Your Alchemist, he's a hero that has to play from being ahead. This Alchemist is so far behind, 7,000 net worth behind this Shadow Fiend. This isn't how you play an Alchemist.
No, but this is what they should have known was going to happen. Maybe they didn't want Trixie to take the stacks in the woods, because then Elk would have gotten his farm a lot earlier. But when you put him mid against a Shadow Fiend, which they should have known was coming, he's going to lose, like the farm war, generally.
It's not...
Shadow Fiend just gets more out of it.
Yep. It's not easy. Now, your Miracle, you got 4k gold. What are you building up next?
Getting a butterfly, I think, because he has a quarter staff on the chickens, so...
Nobody really
Finishing that up.
right-clicks you, though, on stock, either. Oh, and Memphis won't go down. Luckily, the Radiance mischance working out for him there. So, I don't know, I feel like... Yeah, you can go with the butterfly, but no one's actually touching Miracle, you know?
I think it's, like, the most, like, defensive/offensive item in general, because you're getting an Aegis soon in your mind. You're thinking Skadi might be a bit too defensive, it doesn't offer me enough damage output, so kind of an in-between. Where Stark looked to smoke to get the pick off. They're gonna find No-Tail, but he might just BKB TP.
Yeah.
And they might not even catch him, because
He
Moon's
is
set
do-
to defend.
And Moon just helping him out. No-Tail actually thinking about going back in. He pops that BKB. He's just gonna kill off OKC, but he isn't able to. There's the heal. He finally goes down. Doesn't get the Reaper Scythe kill, but now they're working in on Nempy, and they know he just TP'd out a top. He does have it back off cooldown finally, but not enough, and he gets right-clicked down, and now Trixie to follow. This is looking disastrous for Stock. And I wanted to say something that, yeah, they call the GG. They had a bunch of smokes on cooldown on Stock. This was like their first one used in ages. So...
They were never in a position to be able to smoke into OG though, because they were stronger at most points of the game, and they didn't pick heroes that could fight before OG got their levels and their items. So I've got to be honest, I think this was just like OG completely outclassing them.
Yeah. It definitely felt a bit like a stomp, and it's pretty... yeah, it was pretty one-sided, but hopefully the lineup of stock can bring it back in this game too. That'll be coming up right soon. Either way, we hope for some good Dota. Once again, I'm Llama Down Under. I've been joined by PQMZ. You can give us feedback because we're always looking to get better at casting at Llama Down Under on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. PQ doesn't have the social media, so send me your feedback for him as well. Thank you, and we will be going into a game 2 after a few words from the sponsors, folks.